Alright folks, welcome to this exciting adventure where you once again join me in the middle of the Scottish countryside here in front of the beautiful Mount Blair up Glenisla. And today we're joined by the channel DJ, who you may recognise from our adventure to the most haunted house, the most haunted abandoned house in Scotland folks, which was a recent video. But anyway, today's mission, we're away to head up this hill at Glenisla here, because one of the abandoned houses I went to last week, it turns out around the corner from it, there's some more abandoned history on the hill. Like an old, remains of where a sawmill had been, remains of where like a water wheel pit and stuff, and farm buildings and that had been, and a heap of other interesting stuff. So yeah, we're going up the hill again this week to see what's about. But we'll have to be super careful folks, because there's deer stalking in progress. So we're both just keeping our ears open for gunshots and stuff. We looked at the sign on the gate and we're going to stay off the area where they're deer stalking hopefully, but by the time we get to the ruin it'll be getting pretty near to it. So yeah, it's a real adventure folks. Look at this folks, this is our first historical wander on the hillside here, and I think on the old maps this was potentially like an old gamekeeper settlement or something, and I think there's the remains of an old house there for what we can see, and then there's these like walls up here, so I'm not sure if there's been a house located up at this site as well, or if this has been where they've kept animals or maybe even dogs or horses back in the day. Look at this, there's an old bit of like pipe, that's maybe been through a later like ditch which has been dug along the hill. Yeah, maybe that was to keep the water away for this ancient like field area or whatever. There's maybe not a lot to see now, but we'll try and see what history is still left here. It looks like it's just some fields. Maybe there's been a house within it at one time, even made of wood. Here, I want to take a look.
Yeah, look over there.
Yeah, this looks like the more interesting end down here.
Yeah.
This is crazy folks, look at the view from this adventure here. We're literally out here on the hilltop. Wow. A settlement like this will date from like the 1700s or even earlier in time. Could even be 1600s. And yeah, look, there's been something up at this end which is more like smaller rooms or something. Wow. See, I'm not sure if any of this has had like a wooden roof or stuff like that. It's probably been used for like sorting sheep and stuff and out like over the years. So this is big like sheep territory.
It's almost like a hallway, the big hallway here.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like ancient history folks. The back wall there is like a big high wall. A lot of the dry stone dike techniques back then were just incredible, like, and the outer walls of this place are impressive structures. Yeah, at least probably 200 years this has been standing. Look at it folks, it's just crazy. Bits of like limestone or whatever that is off the hill. Whatever rocks they had really, they would have chipped away at them and shaped them. And yeah, it's actually the height of my head, so it goes to show like, again, the fact it stood for that long. And look, there's all these little stones in it and stuff. It's like, it is actually incredible. All those little stones like make the wall stand up for that length of time. Check this out, a tree branch has come down on it. Here, it might be easier to go down this side of the wall.
Yeah.
It looks less overgrown. This is crazy folks, exploring history like this, it's just magical. Unseen on YouTube before, stuff like this. But yeah, it's a bit in Scotland's like history for a time gone by. Look at this folks, this is like an ancient Scottish house right here. It's so cool. This could have been the gamekeeper's house here, and that was maybe like fields and stuff that they used on the little estate. Look, the house stones are a lot better finished, and they've even got cement. Do you think that's the old front door you're at there, or the back door? Look, the wall's been pretty thick, but it's fallen down.
A door here, like, you've got stones coming all the way across it.
And then there's been outer buildings too here. Oh look, this stone here's got like a hole in it. It must have been for like a gate or maybe a door or something mounted. This whole building here is interesting. So what's this here, look? Look at this, folks. Real history on the hilltop. This looks like it's been an old fireplace here. So cool finding these little like nuggets of history just hidden in this hilltop.
Maybe it's been one massive structure.
Yeah. I think this here has definitely been a house. And maybe that as well there could have been connected to this.
Maybe been like a little family.
Look at these stones. It's crazy that's just out here on this hill, like in the middle of this vast Scottish landscape, like.
There's an entrance there.
Look at this detail, folks, and this thing I thought was like a fire. Look, it's got this hole there. So I don't know if there's been something mounted in there at one time at the fire. Maybe a bar going across it that they hung something on to cook it even.
Yeah.
These houses are so old, like we're talking 1700s, like I would say. So cool. And what the channel DJ's just noticed here, this cement slab here, which must have been the front door slab, leading into the house here. And it actually does line up with what we think is the garden gate down here. So this has probably been the edge of like this little house's ground here. Look, here's been the little garden steps. Wonder if there's been a gate or something mounted here at one time. Yeah, there's like 3 little stones in the ground here. And it must have been little steps up into this property. And it's so cool to come and like see this. And this could be the first time it's ever been videoed. It looks like there's even been a little square shed kind of building down there. And it's maybe been back in the day when they had the shite house away from the house.
Well,
Here, I want to record this fungus that's on this tree because it looks incredible. Look at this, folks, it's such a strange fungus. It actually looks like a young bracket fungus. And look at that one there. There's a lot of that this time of year and it's so cool. So we'll go in the old front door of this house.
there's the edge of it.
There's a stone floor in this building here, folks. This would have all been rooms at one time. Over the years it's just decayed and everything's fallen in. And yeah, look at this, it's a cement floor.
Ah, this is the edge of it right there. And it'll go back.
Yeah.
Then look.
Goes back to here and it's actually been dug into the ground. It's almost like one of these old like earth houses. They were kind of half in the earth. But I bet you this was a real damp house, I would say. Because this ground would have been damp on the back wall.
The walls up against the thing.
Yeah. But then I suppose all this could have been filled in at one time as well. Who knows, folks? There's a lot of years gone by since this history was in its prime. It is cool to see the rooms though and imagine like what they were. Yeah, this one's been like a little smaller room.
Yeah.
And then it looks like there's been a lobby or something along the back, like a corridor.
Because that could just be the outer wall.
Yeah, true enough.
And then you've got, this could be the outside.
That's true. It's hard to see, like there's no been a door into here then from the house.
No.
No unless it was just like a shed. See, they had coal and sticks in sheds as well back then. So who knows, folks. Look at it though, it's just real history hidden on the side of this hill. And yeah, it's just documenting it before it's gone forever. I'll get a photo of this old doorstep. Here, it looks like that's a bit of cement there, look.
Yeah.
So yeah, as the years have passed and stuff, and this stuff just decays and gets lost more and more. But yeah, we're going to head round the corner and check out some more history. Here, look, this has had pillars at the corner of it at one time. Maybe a wooden porch here.
I was going to say it's maybe a porch.
Oh look, you can see the wall's been rendered at one time.
Yeah.
Oh aye, so there has been like a house here with render and stuff on the wall, so it's maybe not as old as I was even thinking. Wow.
Concrete floor again.
Look at this, folks, on the hill behind that little house. Look, there's been stuff here, there's a concrete floor here. And then there as well, but look at this, there's like concrete walls, which has been like a little room. That is some ancient like buildings probably. After seeing the rendering and stuff, it was maybe knocked in at a later date. So I don't know, like if they had to pay taxes or something on abandoned buildings around at one time, or I don't know how all that worked.
Well, a way to get past paying taxes on a building is to take the roof off.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of abandoned buildings are crumbling nowadays.
Look at this, folks. We can actually see there's now cows up here on the horizon. We've come into this forest and there's a strange lie out here. Like the lie of the land here is unusual. I think this is where the little dam was, and I think there was actually a water wheel, because we're now actually at the back of the house, which I visited last week. We've come a completely different route, and yeah, you can kind of see the ground here is all kind of, it's had ridges and stuff in it at one time. There's been a lot going on here over the history, but there was a water wheel at this farm down here, and there's a little wooden shed up there, and that was put in for the shepherd when he's doing the lambing up here on the hill, because before he had a little wheeled like wooden cabin with like a log burning stove in it. When he was down the hill lambing a sheep, he looked up and it was on fire. But seemingly the bits of that old like lambing carriage thing, the little hut, is still lying where it burnt. Yeah, I think this has been
Follow it, look.
Yeah, but I think this is where the water had fed the farm. Yeah, so this is like, I don't know how well it comes out in the video, folks. Along there, you can see this has been a little dam here for the farm water wheel. I'm getting dripped on from the top of this tree. But yeah, you can see here how it looks like it's come along, run down there, and then the water's fed down this other side of the wall, potentially. It is cool often visiting these sites and try to uncover the history. And last week when I was at the house, I didn't even know that all this was just round the corner. So here we are again, we're back, folks. Even though it's the same location from last week, it's completely different history that I missed. But we're honestly being wary of the livestock up on the hill here, because we're not out here to upset livestock, folks. We explore the history with the greatest of respects here, and check this out. Old farm history. And the crazy thing is, that abandoned house in the last video, that had so much old farm history in it as well. But look at this, this must have been where the mill wheel was at one time. This is an incredibly rare old water wheel here, and it's exciting because I can still see the mechanism still in place, because this water wheel was down in a deep wheel well, and it had a direct drive up with the big cog at 90 degrees, folks. And the cool thing is, look, it's still here, and incredible. But look, the water would have come in here, dropped in, turned the wheel, and then check this out. This shaft here would have been going round and round and round, all the way up, and then driving that in with a 90-degree shaft into the building. And look, that shaft's still in there. Or is that a bit of the water wheel? Wow, this is some cool history, folks, right here on the channel. Like, who would have even known this was still here? Look at the way it's built. That is crazy. I can't even believe the size of that bevel gear there.
It's bigger than what you find in your gearbox.
That is massive, folks. And then this would have been a deep, deep hole. It probably still is. It's been...
I wonder how deep it goes.
it would have been fairly far down the water wheel below this level, and then the 90-degree shaft, there'll be another bevel gear down there on the wheel driving up, and that's a rare water wheel design. And how cool is it to video that before it's lost forever? It must have been mounted on a wooden frame.
That's cool.
It's like proper British engineering like that. Something a lot of people don't even know. A lot of people think they were all directly driven into buildings, and I had heard about this one being like that, but I didn't know any of that would exist.
There's loads of metal stuff.
I wonder if that's been either the driven bit inside or the water wheel itself. That's it, folks. It's so cool to find that. That just goes to show, folks, you never know what you're going to find when you're exploring ancient history. And that shows you the size of the industrial things that they took on back in those days. Like, that's been a proper bit of farm equipment that probably worked there for years and years. Yeah, I've never seen one like that in the flesh, which is still like standing with a massive pinion gear. Check this out. Over the years, stuff's been put in there. It's like an old mill house. This must have been where the drive came in. Look at this, folks. This is the internal side of the mill. Yeah, look, there's big gears and stuff lying down here. Look, there's more stuff even down. Big bits of metal. It's all been part of a mill or something at one time, which has been driven. This is the gears which have been driven at one time from the water wheel, from that 90-degree shaft that we saw outside. Just check out how all this history is just buried here, abandoned on the hill, decaying. The more years that pass, this stuff's getting lost, and one day it might end up in a scrapyard or something, or just even buried under all the grass and heather. Check this out here. Wow, check the size of this iron wheel. That's some real deal history, folks.
This fucking ear here.
Yeah. That big square shaft, it's probably like over-engineered to the max.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they must have had a sluice somewhere to open the water up, like to switch it on and off.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool to find that.
Right up. But I don't want to venture too far in there.
Yeah, there's maybe more equipment and stuff just buried on the ground here. That's real deal abandoned when you see stuff like that, overgrown and covered up. They must have had different gears and that for driving their bruiser. Maybe depending on certain situations, they wanted different speeds. This must have been a high-tech bit of kit for the farm back in the day. This is truly a great example of how nature takes over. And like, this whole building might have at one time had history just in it. It's just been taken over by nature. It's been a massive high shed.
It looks like this is no longer collapsed from here.
Oh, aye.
It's really soft what I'm standing on.
Yeah, that is interesting history though, folks. To the landowner and that, we come with the greatest respects. We're just looking at the history here. It is so cool to see this is all still like sitting where it landed. You can imagine at one time that would have been up there mounted on a strong structure. The gears would have been coming in, and when that was running, that would have been a serious honest noise coming off that, like. Yeah, it's been a wrecked farm, and you can see way down the glen now to Loch Chandra and stuff in the distance. It's crazy, folks. Real adventures right here. So cool to keep on documenting different history like this year, every week. It's crazy to find all this new stuff all the time, and like that stuff just blows my mind. The size of those gears and those bevel pinion gears, like, it was just so worth the walk, and like that's made it for me, this whole adventure. Look, I can see there's other people walking at the far side back up the hill.
Yeah.
I think that's the same folk we saw walking down the hill earlier.
Yeah.
And then look at this, folks, this has been another farm building here. Check this out. Here's probably the hole where the door frame, or maybe the latch went in. Look at that. Look at the wear on that hinge. That shows you this has been a farm for a long time on the go, before it was abandoned. It's had a big door on here. Let's climb up, folks. See what history remains within the perimeter of this building. Whoa, look at how many mosquito things is flying about. Whatever they are, they're probably not even mosquitoes. Midgy things. Oh, look, there's some weird, serious fungus. I think there's been a dead animal here.
Yeah.
That fungus there just doesn't look right.
Makes one of these flies.
I think so. There's something going on in here. There's a fungal hazard here, folks. I think we'll turn around.
Yeah.
There's maybe been a dead animal and then it's just getting eaten by fungus. That's it though, folks. Documenting history.
Stones are slippy.
Look at this, folks. There's been an outside little shed here. Maybe when that house was on the go. This is the house that featured last week's video, the spooky house. The Halloween season, folks. That's what we're on. When I was at those scary houses and that. And check this out. This could have been the garage. Maybe they had a wee, like, Morris 1000 or something drawn up here, or an old Mini. It turns out, I think there used to be a writer who used to come up to this house from England and stay for his summer holidays every year. But apart from that, I think this house was left open originally back in the day for like walkers and stuff who were stranded in bad weather, so they could, like, obviously get somewhere safe until the storm passed. Yeah, like the boy must still use this area to sort out his sheep. Because that's still a current like thingy. Oh, is that an old boiler? Oh, right. Wow. Look at that, folks. Real history once again. Here, that's the same as what I saw when I was at the abandoned house at Brecon a few weeks ago. It's one of these. They used to use boilers for doing the clothes, didn't they?
Yeah.
That's so cool, folks. So this is the old, like, wash house. I think that's what they called it. It's just a typical wee British farm. Even if you went probably down to, like, Yorkshire Dales and places like that, a lot of these farms have got a similar vibe. And these little crofts now, they still use the ground and some of the sheds, but they're run from bigger farms in, like, the nearby area. And yeah, like, from what we saw last week with this house, it doesn't look like it's had electricity, but it has had plumbing. And I think it was last inhabited probably back in the 50s and that. But just check how eerie it looks, eh? So we've just noticed, folks, this house that I was in the other day, it's got so much character, it's so spooky. But there's actually a window here in a room, which I never even explored last week. So I thought the door I was looking at was to the outside, but it must have been into that room. So we're going to go back into the spooky house, folks. Hold on to your seats, folks. What's the saying? Hold on to your hats. Get something to hide behind if you're scared of haunted houses, folks. Look at this, folks. I don't normally come back to these places as quick, but once I found out there was a lot of cool history just round the corner, again, we had to come for a look. And it turns out now that they've actually got the cows in the bit that I walked through last week, so it shows you, like, the farms are always changing, like, where you have to be careful of their animals, like, where they are. Look, there's been doorsteps and stuff. It's all hidden by the leaves now. I'm wanting to see this room, which we never saw last time. Well, the DJ's never even been here, folks, to this spooky house. It's so eerie, eh? What do you think of this? Aye, that's what I was saying. This will come down any second. Like, it's so dangerous. I can't stress enough, folks, how dangerous the roof is in here. Like, above our heads. This is the room we never went in. Look at this, folks. Documenting new history. It looks like the roof is knackered here too, but this has been like a little shed on the back. Look at this, what's it had? Hooks and stuff. And then it's had this same wooden trim that we actually saw in the kitchen. Yeah, check it out. It is cool to see a different room, because see, when I miss a room or something like that on an Explorer, it would bug me. And since we're back at this farm, just check it out. Look at the old windows. You see the remains of the old paint on them. It's like a light blue colour. It must have been quite a nice house when it was in its prime. And some of the windows do remain. See, up the stair the window panes go across the way, but down the stair they go up and down the way. I've just noticed. No, unless this bit was built on the back at a different time and they just put the window in for a different area or whatever. Like, that's an old... Maybe they had it as a door here, but it looks like an old shutter from a window.
The things you see clattering in the window.
So cool coming on these adventures, folks. Like you never know what you're going to see. And, like, just the character and the detail, even in these old doors with the latches. That's what a lot of the farm doors had. Still works perfect. Yeah, see, I think they've taken all the pipes out because apparently originally the pipes used to just run outside the wall here in this house. Kind of, they weren't like hidden behind the plasterboard or anything.
Just visible.
And then there's been like a wee tabletop there next to the sink. It's been painted like white here and blue. Like, just the whole character, folks. You see a more in-depth look at this video if you go back to last week's channel. But I wanted to see in that room, folks. There is always small bits of history you miss the first time anyway when you come to a location like this. And often when I'm editing, that's when you notice something in the background, you think, oh, I wish I had looked at that. See this door, when I was taking a photo of it, right, it was like that. And then all of a sudden it just closed. But again, the weird thing, it's like this wall's leaning even more now. Because that door wasn't swinging as much this way last time. I'm telling you, I think this roof's going to fall down any time. You should have a look through there, DJ. Because if you've never been here, it's worth seeing. Yeah. It's the foxes down. Yeah, just be careful. See, I thought that was like a hallway there when I first came in, then I realised it was like just a cupboard. And this would have been the farmhouse where like the farmer obviously lived, who operated that water wheel that we just saw a minute ago in the video. And if anyone does come here, I do stress, like, it is very dangerous because the way the roof's hanging, if you were to go up the stair, like, there's a 98% chance it's probably going to come down, I would say. It's just on its last legs, folks. That's how it was so special when I found this place up on the hill. And then when I got back, like, down the Glen, I heard that there was so much more that I could have actually visited. So that was so cool, folks, to see in that new room of the house that we missed. At least now we've seen every room in there. So let's continue this journey through history. See if there's anything else I missed the last time. There's meant to be an old, like, location of an old sawmill up here, but I'm really not wanting to upset any cows and that if they're kicking about here. Here we can see the old shepherd's hut up on the hill here, folks. I'm not sure what this bit of land here would have been used for. What a crazy angle for the house. I love the character of decay that sets into these historical wonders over the years. Like, there's been kind of sheds there at one time, or metal roofs, maybe been pigs. Oh, eh? Yeah, there's been a walkway here probably behind the sheds at one time. Oh, look at the wee windows through. Wonder if that was for like ventilation or something. Or for feeding, if there was pigs in those little sheds. Maybe he came in the middle with his barra for here. And then fed the pigs. It's crazy the history you can uncover. There's actually like larch trees or something growing out the front wall, which will push all that apart. Gives it so much character though with the...
As they grow, that's just going to...
Yeah. The old lintels as well, they're like big stones. They look like they've been shaped just from hill stones. Look how much willow herb is going on in there, folks. Wow. Look at this, folks, this little house. The old shepherd's hut just fits in with the spooky Halloween vibe which is going on here. Here, there's been something in the ground. This must have been where the sawmill was, mounted on these cement pillars.
No way.
Yeah. we'll take a look at this spooky thing, because this, if this is where the sawmill was mounted, folks, this is where my grandfather used to work in the 1950s. And look at this, we've found it here on the hill. This is the spot. And seemingly the saw which was mounted here, it was a big circular saw. It was in the loft at the Folder sawmill, but it might not be there nowadays. But check the way these were built here. The ground might have been lower around it, or they would have been here, probably in a wooden, I don't know, there'd been a roof of some sort, I would think. And the saw bench was powered.
With a mill.
Yeah, and they were cutting wood here. I think they used an old Davy Brown as well back then, and one of those old Willis Jeeps. Any American viewers know what the Willis Jeeps is. They had one of these, probably the route me and you walked. They used to nip over there to get from the Glen up to the sawmill. Real history, folks, which has got a sentimental value to the BKR family. It's proper cool. Anyway, folks, look at this. The old shepherd's hut. We were going to look at this a minute ago until we saw the old sawmill. Check this out though, the character of the window. It's all starting to drop and fall in. There's probably been animals in here. Look, there's a couple of cushions. See, I don't know if the shepherd would still chill up here on the stormy nights, like Channel DJ coming to the hole in the wall. You want a Big Mac?
Drive-through, is it?
Yeah, this is the Glenisla drive-through, folks. You come here to get your box of chicken nuggets when you're exploring. Can look at this. Wonder if this old window came from an old house back in the day or what. It's got a crazy little latch on it. This would be a cool little place just for a wee hutty, like.
Yeah.
But the boy was up here grafting when he was out here.
Shepherding.
He was out here shepherding for sure. And now the cows just enjoy this land. But yeah, that's been so cool because I was wanting to find these pillars, and it's so cool to see they're still here. The only thing we've not found is the old wheels and that, where that little thing burnt out, and the wheels in the stove were left. The old shepherd's hut before this one got burnt out, folks. But I don't know where it would be. Maybe somewhere in this field. Look at this. We have found something lying in the field here, folks. This could be part of the original, like, little camper van thing they had. It wasn't a camper van, but it was like a wooden hut that they dragged around for doing the lambing. And it had a wee stove and stuff in it, and somewhere that the shepherd could chill out. And then when he was doing the hill lambing a sheep, like, the thing was on fire when he turned around. That's an old story of the Glen, folks, that I heard from a local person. Check that out. That could be part of it, or it might not be, like, but that could just be a feeder even. You never know with this history, folks, but it's cool to share the stories and keep the history of the Glen alive. And we've seen some cool stuff on this video. This tree here has got so much character. It's probably been on the hill as long as these houses, maybe even longer. But yeah, what an adventure that's been. We've literally come all the way up here in the middle of nowhere, and we've seen like so much history from a time gone by. And yeah, every year it's just sinking into the ground more and more and decaying. Yeah, it's been awesome. Anyway, I'll end this video here. So it's goodbye for me, goodbye for the channel DJ, and we'll catch you in the next video very soon.